So this is a kind of basic definition as you already working in Citrix, right? So you might know like Citrix is a company which is most popular into the virtualization right now, and the
Yes.
top products from the Citrix are Genap and Gen Desktop. So earlier those products were named as Genap and Gen Desktop, but now after the release of Citrix version virtual apps and desktop, they guys just rename their product to virtual app and virtual desktop. Means Gen app is now virtual app and Gen desktop is now virtual desktop. Okay, is a
Yes.
kind of basic thing. Means both are means like virtual apps and virtual desktop are the latest version only. Okay, and Gen app and Gen desktop are still there. Like formally, those were named as Gen app and Gen desktop. Okay,
Okay.
now when it comes to the data center. Okay, so this is a kind of chart, or you can consider it a kind of network diagram. Where are the components hosted, how components are interconnected to each other. So this is a kind of thing. Means right now what is happening actually on your left hand side, like this is an end user device. It could be a laptop, desktop, or whatever it is, right? And you have nothing to do with that left hand side part. Why? Because this is an end user device, and this part has been taken care by the local IT team. Why? Because in end user devices, the local IT team have to install one web browser and one application which is known as Citrix Workspace application, right? So
Yes.
you have nothing to worry about that part. And that right hand part, this one, this is your data center which you have to manage at infra level. And in between, we are having the load balancer, the Citrix Net Scaler, or if you have any other firewall, you can use it. But Citrix always recommend to use Net Scaler for load balancing.
Yes.
Now, coming to the other components. So other components are the storefront. So what is storefront? Basically, storefront, it is a landing page or it is a web page for end user. Means you have to give some URL to end user www.xyz.com or whatever it is, right? So once user log on to that URL, user will get some web page, and over that web page, what user needs to do, user must have to enter some credentials, right?
Yes.
And delivery controller, it is a core component, it is a master component, or it is a mastermind of any Citrix data centers. Okay. Studio, basically Studio, it is a uh, centralized management console. With the help of Citrix Studio, you will be able to manage all the operations. Like if you have to create the new virtual machine, if you have to create any delivery group, if you want to publish anything, if you want to update any machine catalog, whatever the activities you have to do, you can perform with single GUI based console that is known as the Studio. Now, coming to a director, so you are working at this level, so you might know what director is, right?
Yeah. Director is a troubleshooting. So if any got any issue, so we
Mhm.
can find
Yeah,
this.
it is for the troubleshooting and monitoring purpose as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
With the help of director, means if users are reporting like they are unable to launch the VDI, or VDI got stuck, or something is not working, right? Initially, what you will do, you have to go to the director console, then you have to search for that user by username, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
with that username, you will be able, means you will get the details like which VDI is allocated to this user, from which delivery group that particular VDI is getting published. Okay, so those kind of operations you can perform with the director. Okay, so in our case, director is not that much necessary right now. Okay, because L1 guys will take care of those kind of operations, right? Now coming to
Yes.
the license server. So basically, license server, it is it is something which is responsible to allocate the license to the virtual machine. That's it. You have nothing to do. Means if you are operating with 50 VDI in your infra, in that case, what you have to do, you have to go to the Citrix and you have to ask them like, we need Citrix license for 50 VDI or 50 user. Okay.
Okay.
Now coming to the delivery controller, basically delivery controller, what it will do, it will forward the query to the respective server. What kind of query? It's according to query. I will explain that thing. Coming to the SQL server. So SQL Server is a database which stores all the logs. Okay, what is happening in your data center when users are logging in, when users are logging out, what Citrix administrators are doing, how they are modifying the infra. Each and every log with date and time, along with the username, you will find into the database. Active Directory, I don't think I have nothing to explain in that part, right?
Yeah.
Basically, it is responsible for user authentication
Like
and
user
computer management.
account and groups creating.
Yes. Now the major part, here it is, the hypervisor, on which all those virtual machine or virtual server will be hosted here in hypervisor.
Yeah.
Into the market, if it comes to the hypervisor, we are having three most popular hypervisor: Gen server, vSphere client, and Hyper-V. Okay, and apart
Yeah.
from these three hypervisor, we are having one open source hypervisor as well, which is known as XCP-ng. If you ever heard about it,
Which
and
one?
XCP-ng.
No,
Ba-
I'm not. New
Basically,
one.
this is a freeware. No, no, not new one. This is a open source hypervisor.
Okay.
XCP-ng. Okay. So this is a freeware hypervisor. Means if you have your own lab and if you are not planning to, procure the license, so you can use that hypervisor at free of cost at lifetime. Okay.
Okay.
This is a open source. Now coming to the flow, how things works. Now initially we are acting as an end user. Okay. I am having my
Yeah.
laptop. I opened my laptop. I opened the web browser and I have typed my storefront URL. Okay. In my web
Yeah.
browser. And when that web page load, it will ask me to enter some credentials, right? So I will enter my username and password on that screen and I click on log on. So when I click on log on, now that query, it will directly go to the delivery controller, and delivery controller know like which server is responsible to validate the thing, this particular query. So in this case, Active Directory server is the only server who can validate the credentials, right? So
Yes.
what it will do, it will forward that login related queries directly to the Active Directory server. Active Directory server will validate like user is valid or not. If user credentials are valid, on the next page, user will get the icons like Windows 10, Windows 7, or whatever the application is published to user, right? But if query like if a username and password is incorrect, right? So Active Directory forward that query again to delivery controller forward to the storefront, and once user click on log on, user will get some error like invalid credentials or credentials expired, something like that. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Right.
Now, once credentials are valid, okay. So once delivery controller found credentials are valid, so after that, it will not directly forward that query to storefront. Initially, like first after credential validation, it will go to the SQL server and it will ask SQL server to check into the database like which virtual machine application is published to that user. So it will get the data from SQL server like this application or this machine is published to that user, and after that, it will forward the query to hypervisor please turn on the available resources in your system, and once resources are power on, then finally forward the query to delivery controller, and on next page user will get the icons over there like Windows 10, Windows 7, whatever is resource is published to that user. Is it clear?
Yes.
And once user will see the icons, user just have to double click on that icon and it will automatically launch with the help of Citrix workspace application, and user is now connected to the session, right?
Yeah.
Any doubt here?
No, nothing.
No? Okay. Now coming to the in that user session launching process, okay. When user is launching their sessions, there is no role of studio director license server, okay. Why? Because these are the kind of tools for Citrix administrator only, right? User has nothing to do, okay. So
Okay.
like a query from storefront to delivery controller to AD server to SQL server to hypervisor and vice versa. Okay, and user will be able to launch the session with the help of Citrix ICA file, that .ica file, right?
Okay.
Perfect.
I have to make a note, sir. Are you
Nothing.
sending
You,
the
you
note?
will you will get the recording.
Okay.
You have nothing to do.
So any PDF document will be sending? Like this?
PDF document is there, but I will send it in the last. once your lab
Okay.
will be created. Okay.
Okay.
Now coming to the layers into the Citrix. Okay. So the first layer is user layer. As I told you, we have nothing to do with that, right? Why? Because we are working as Citrix administrator. Yeah, sometimes we have to guide the local IT guys, like was you are installing the wrong version of Citrix receiver or Citrix workspace like that. Okay. But usually
Yeah.
we have nothing to do with that part. This is a end user part and it has been taken care by the local IT.
Yeah.
Now, very important thing. Access layer, control layer, resource layer, and hardware layer. So basically, the first layer is the hardware layer, and that is very important. Why? Because all these servers, these all are the virtual servers. In data centers, we never use the physical servers. Okay, all are the virtual machines. So
Okay.
the first hardware layer, and this is the only hardware layer that we have in our infra, the huge servers like Nutanix servers or Dell servers or HP servers. Okay. And on those servers, we will install hypervisor as an operating system directly on the physical hardware. Means if I am having Gen server ISO with me and I am having one physical laptop, okay. So there is no need to install Windows 10, Windows 7 first, then you can install like VMware Workstation Pro, something like that. Directly install that Linux operating system on the physical hardware, okay.
Okay.
And these are the highly configured hardwares, okay, and with number of network card, storage, processor storage will be very high in terabyte or in petabyte. Number of processors and threads, memory it in terabytes or maybe more than that, graphic cards, okay. Those kind of things you will get in your hardware layer, okay. And above that hardware layer, you are having three layers. First layer is access layer. Why? Because it is it is a kind of access gateway for the end user. Why? Because user is entering initially from that layer only, right? So in access layer, we have two components: storefront and load balancing. Storefront, why? Because it is a landing page for end user, and ADC it is a gateway, right?
Yes.
It protects the network and it is the entering path. So it is a main gate for end user to enter into your resources, right? Now
Yes.
coming to the control layer. So control layer is something which is controlling your entire data center. So you can see in control layer, we are having delivery controller, we are having domain controller. For authentication, we are having SQL server. Why? Because it will store the logs. We are having license server. Why? Because it will allocate the license. We are having file server. So file server is nothing. Basically it is a shared storage on which we will host
Yeah.
all the virtual machines. Means it is a shared
Yes.
path. Okay. In data center, we never use the physical hard drives. Okay. We will use,
Okay.
if you ever heard about the LAN or ISKG drives, right, or network drives. So we will use that network storage only. Why? Because
Okay.
if your domain controller goes down in by any chance, so your data will be stored here. Okay. It is not on the physical hard drive of this server. Okay.
Okay.
Now, coming to the resource layer, into the resource layer, we will be having all the resources like server operating system, Windows 10, Windows 7, or whatever the application, how many, the number of VDIs as per the requirement, the total count will be there only. Okay.
Yeah.
So, any doubt here?
Now.
So, in Citrix, we are having five layers. First one is user layer, access layer, control layer, resource layer, and hardware layer. Okay.
Okay.
And we have to play with that part only, the right hand part. There is nothing to do with user end.
User.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the deployment of the entire data center, I have divided the entire series into 10 sessions, or you can consider as 10 lectures. Okay. So,
Okay.
first lecture we are here only. Right now, we are discussing the prerequisites and the introduction part that we are covering right now. Right? What is required? What to
Okay.
do? Right? Means what is
Yeah.
the resources are required to set up your own lab? What each and everything we are discussing right now. Right? And from tomorrow onwards, the session will be lengthy. Why? Because in the second session, we will learn how to install and configure the delivery controller and other Citrix core components like Studio, your license server, your director, how to configure all those servers, right?
Okay.
In the third one, we will learn how to configure the hypervisor, how to connect your hypervisor into your Citrix site. Why? Because every virtual machine will be hosted here only into your Citrix hypervisor. Now,
Yes.
in the fourth one, we will learn how to create the Gen desktop site. So, let me make some correction here. It's not Gen desktop right now. You can consider it virtual desktop now because they guys rename their product, right?
Yes.
And to add the delivery controller to the site means we will create our first Citrix site. Site is means it will be a URL for you, like your first data center we will create. Okay, so site is data center actually where your all the resources are hosted. Okay,
Okay.
in the fifth one we will learn how to create the master image or the golden image. In some organization it is known as the golden image, some called as it's as a master image. Okay, so both are the same
Yes.
thing. So,
Okay.
and how to install the virtual delivery agent. Have you ever worked on the master images in your infra?
No, I heard that, but we didn't got any
Any chance
work.
to work on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The SME, they only doing.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost your voice. I'm not sure. Might be some network issue. It's raining actually in my area right now.
Okay. Here also it's cloudy.
Okay. Okay. So in the next one, we will learn how to create the machine catalogs. Okay.
Okay.
Then we will learn how to create the delivery groups. Then we will learn how to install and configure the storefront URL or storefront server. In the ninth one, we will test up the deployment, whatever data center we have performed. And in the ninth one, what we will do, we will act as a end user. Okay. We will open the storefront URL and then we will try to log into our infra. Okay. And
Okay.
tenth one, this is very, very important for troubleshooting and backup plan means if any of your server went down, okay, your hypervisor one, delivery controller one, whatever it is, if anything, any network server goes down, in that case, you will be able to know how to switch the operation to the another server quickly, right? So for the
Yes.
same, we will configure the load balancing. Means if my one storefront goes down, in that case, all the traffic it will automatically move to the secondary storefront server, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any doubt in this breakup?
No. Nothing.
So basically, 10 session, basically it is required to understand the things in deep manner, right? Because
Yes.
I can merge create delivery controller and machine catalog in a single session as well. But it will be a little bit confusing for you guys actually, because you need some time to have some practice, right? So that is the
Okay.
only reason we will go session by session, okay? And
Yeah.
you will keep practicing on your hardware, whatever the hardware you have. And so now,
Tomorrow and day after tomorrow up to Saturday I'm available. So Saturday night I'm going to my native.
so Saturday afternoon you also available.
Yeah, up to up no Saturday evening I'm going. Up to morning 10:30 to 1 2 we can start.
Okay, so Saturday is my weekly off, so we can connect Saturday. We will finish it up before Saturday only, the deployment. Okay,
Okay.
okay, because I think
Saturday evening I'm going, so I will be back on Wednesday.
okay, okay, no issue.
Okay.
Now coming to the lab, okay,
Okay.
like how many virtual machines we have to create, what is the hardware resources are required. Okay, so the first machine you can see the domain controller, which is must, right, to
Yeah, domain.
manage the end users and computers, or to create the security groups or whatever the requirement, right? So you can
Yes.
see the host name I given DC stand for domain controller, or If you are preparing to deploy two domain controller, you can mention like DC01 or DC02, something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
RAM I have given to domain controller is 2 GB. Why? Because it is a test infra and 2 GB is more than enough to like operate the Active Directory console, right?
Okay.
And my domain is techmtech.com, and you can create your own domain by your name, right? I hope you can configure the domain controller. Is there any issue with that part?
I'm using a company laptop only. I don't have my own one, so I didn't do that.
Okay, we will come to that point. Okay.
So I need to purchase one laptop. So which one I have to buy for
Uh,
this lab and everything setup?
we'll discuss. We'll discuss. Let me finish this first. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now, second server, it is our core server. Okay. It is the Citrix delivery controller. So, for your understanding, I have mentioned DDC, that is known as the delivery controller. Okay. Like data center delivery controller. But for
Okay.
your understanding, I can mention like CTX for Citrix and delivery controller. Okay.
Okay.
And the RAM I have given to this machine is
The
6
first
GB.
one is domain controller.
Yeah,
This is setting.
delivery
Okay.
controller.
Okay.
And in this server only, we are going to deploy like Studio, Director, SQL Server. Each and every component we will fit in
Yeah.
this server only. Okay.
Okay.
And again, this machine is joined to my domain. My domain is techmtech.com. Means this machine is joined into my domain, this domain. Okay. Now,
Okay.
these two servers are the hypervisors on which we will host our virtual machines. Okay. So as you can see,
Okay.
like I have taken two hypervisors with 10 GB each. Why? Because for backup plan, means if, because each and every virtual machines are hosted on hypervisors only. So in case my this hypervisor goes down, the first one, so I can load balance both the hypervisor and I can switch the operation to the second one in real time. Okay.
Yes.
That we will do practical how to configure the load balancing. Why? Because load balancing is very, very important. Okay.
Yes.
And these two machines are the Windows 10 machines. Okay. And these machines you can consider like these machines are hosted in my office or end user devices, right? And in these two machines, what we will do, we will install Google Chrome and Citrix Workspace, and we will try to hit our application and our resources, right? So these
Okay.
two machines will act as the end user, okay? And one more server, like as we are into the test environment, so sometimes what I will do to reduce the hardware resources. So what I used to do, I simply configure the storefront server here only on this Citrix delivery controller, right? But that is not a good deal actually. So what we can do, just give me a minute. So we need to add one more server here. So that server will be your storefront SF-01 storefront 01, okay?
Okay.
And 2 GB RAM is enough for storefront server, so that is not an issue. So this is a plan actually. So let me, I always forgot to save the slide. So let me, just give me a minute. I'm just managing.
Okay.
So at least we have to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 virtual machines, right? To
Yes.
set up the entire this thing. Okay, this is just a network diagram or flow diagram or process, right? And to achieve those operations, we have to deploy these server domain controller, delivery controller, two hypervisors. storefront server, and client machine. So what you can do, you can avoid this client machine. One client machine you can avoid, but we need at least one client machine to test the infra, right?
Okay.
And why I have taken two machines? Why? Because parallelly we can allow two users to log into different resources or VDI, right? So
Yes.
in that way we will be having some logs, right? Some troubleshooting, and we will be able to publish like
All
publish.
these servers are 2016 or 2019, which one version it is?
I'm coming to that part. Wait.
Okay.
So now coming to the requirements. Okay.
Okay.
So mhm. So the skill requirement, what I need some basic knowledge of Windows Server that you have, Active Directory,
Yeah.
DSCP, and how to create the user and how to uh, join any machine into a domain. Those kind of basic knowledge I required. Okay, and
Yeah.
this is very basic. Okay, and now coming to the hardware requirements. So basically, to achieve that data center to configure all those virtual machines, the at least we need 32 GB of RAM for smooth operations. Okay,
Okay.
but somehow we can manage in 20 GB as well, but in 20 GB of RAM operations will be very slow. Okay,
Okay.
or your laptop, it might get it hung, or it might get it overheated. Okay, so those kind of
Yes.
issues you will face if you go with at least 20 GB of RAM. Okay,
No.
so and the CPU what I need, it should be i5 or higher. Okay, with at least 4 cores. So right now whatever CPUs are available into the market, these are above 4 cores only. Okay, so
Yes.
i5 is good. If you are having i7 or i9, that is very good. And storage, what I need, at least 512 GB of SSD. I will never recommend to use that traditional mechanical drive, that HDD. Okay.
Okay.
Now coming to the software requirements. So we will deploy the entire data center with Windows Server 2019, or you can use the latest one 2022. Okay, it's totally up to with you. Okay, which OS you
Okay.
will prefer for the server operating system. Okay,
Ah,
and here how many server operating system we need? For storefront we need Windows Server. For this one we
yes.
need Windows Server, and for domain controller for sure we need Windows Server, right?
Yes.
And so I think Windows Server 2022 ISO media you will easily get from Microsoft official website for 180 days at free of cost, right?
Yes.
Windows 10 also you will get free of cost from Microsoft for 180 days. There is no issue in that. Okay. If you are unable
Okay.
to find out the link, please let me know. I will ping you the link to download those ISO files.
Okay.
Now, the important part, the Citrix ISO file, from where you will get the Citrix ISO file. So, for the same, you will be requiring some Citrix account, but I'm not sure you are having or not, but I have already uploaded all those files on my Google Drive. So, I will share my Google Drive link, and in that link, let me do it now. In my Google Drive link, you will find all the ISO files over there in single folder. So, what you can do,
Okay.
you can download those, and you can create one folder by name Citrix, and
Okay.
okay. Here is the thing. Okay. Mm, just give me a minute.
Okay.
I'm sharing all those with my mobile,
Okay.
because here in recorded session, I'm not allowed to use my
Yes.
show my WhatsApp because
Okay.
earlier I got some community guidelines from YouTube.
Okay.
Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay, check your WhatsApp and you can download it from there. Okay. Now, Citrix ISO file I already shared with you. Okay. Windows
Okay.
server you can download. Okay. Now coming to your point. Okay. So, okay, you want to know what kind of laptop or desktop is required, right?
Yeah.
So this is a recorded line. So what I will do, I think that introduction part is done. So you can connect with me on my cell phone. Okay. So we can discuss that thing. Okay. Personally. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Or I'm calling you after this call, or you can call me. Okay.
Okay.
Apart from then, any other doubt related to infra, like what kind of infra we have to create, or what is the plan? As I told you, I split the entire things into the 10 lectures or sessions, right? And we will go with step by step. So you have nothing to worry. Means when we will be deploying the storefront. Now I will let you know what is storefront. When we will be configuring this thing, I will explain this thing in detail. So when we will go step by step, na, like that session will be for at least 2 hours, right? So in 2 hours, I
Yes.
will let you know what is delivery controller, what are the core components, how they works. Okay. So session by session, you will be understanding uh, each and everything at infra level. Okay. Why? Because we are going to deploy the data center, not managing the operations. Okay.
Yes. No, no. Presently, what I'm only managing and monitoring. I'm
Yes. Yes.
not getting chance to install and upgrade, migrate this.
So that we will perform live. Okay.
And one more thing, this data center is there, no?
Which data
Only
center?
Citrix, we need to look on only delivery controller, studio, storefront, active direct, this one. And Citrix NetScaler, we no need to take this part.
NetScaler,
That
I will
is
look. NetScaler, I will cover with the storefront. As he here mentioned, it is na in access layer.
no, that Citrix team only need to take care, or that network team will take care.
Look,
NetScaler.
in some infra, Citrix team will be taking care. In some infra, there is a dedicated team for NetScaler, which is from the
Yes, yes.
network team. Okay.
Okay.
So no one, no, it's totally up to the company wherever you are working right now,
Yeah.
right? So no one will be able to. Means in my
We
current
need to know
organization, we are
some
having the
basic.
separate team. Okay.
Yes, yes. Separate team is there.
Yeah, but for a small organization, na, like who
We
do
need
not
to
have
take
that
care.
much budget, right? So they will ask their Citrix guys only to manage the NetScaler. But basically, practically, it is a core component for network only, not for us. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, buddy. So you can call me after this call. Okay. I will guide you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.